Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first ever live recording of Talking Trash's podcast, The Peace Talks. And we have our first ever podcast guest, Alexy Irving, with us, a true supporter of Talking Trash with her time, her talent, and her wisdom, which we are going to get into today. Thank you, Alexy, for being here with us.
Hey, y'all. Thank you for having me.
Very well.
I'm excited to get this chat, to spread the good gospel, the good word.
Okay, come on, good gospel. We here for it. And don't think y'all off the hook. There will be a time for questions and answers with you as well. So as we go through the podcast, please take your time to, if anything stands out to you, questions, comments, concern, you'll have your time to shine as well. All right, Alexy, we're going to first get started by telling the beautiful people about who you are and what you do.
Okay. I'm Alexy. I do whatever my heart wants me to do, and nothing that my heart does not want me to do. That has guided me to be a garden educator in Chicago, so working with elementary school children, high schoolers, volunteers, people that just want to be more involved with nature and gardening. So I've been a garden educator for probably the past maybe 3 years. When I moved to Chicago, I was doing marketing. So my background is in advertising and marketing. My actual education is in that. But moving to Chicago, I followed my heart and said, that's cool, but what I really want to do, what my heart really wants me to do, is work with the youth, work with the arts, or work with nature. So took a step back and got a full-time, part-time job, making minimum wage, doing some work at a farm and garden shop, a retail shop, and that led me to working or to volunteering at a farm, and it changed my life since then. So I've been doing speaking engagements, leading volunteer efforts, volunteering my time at a lot of different gardens, farms, and also a photojournalist, so documenting all these gardens and farms that are around Chicago. So with my photojournalism, I like to document Black bodies working with the land to kind of adjust that stigma that's associated with it, and it's been taking me far.
So what calls you to this? Like you said, the first minimum wage job. You know, marketing, you could be doing something else, but
in somebody's office.
You chose corporate life, right? But you chose to say, no, I'm gonna work with my heart. And so, what calls you to working in agriculture and education and gardening?
It just sit better. Honestly, it sits
better.
Right. Yeah. My grandmother, my mother's mother, her father owned a farm, which is the land that my whole family's on in South Carolina right now. So I think it's a part of ancestral knowledge, DNA that's in my body, that calls me to that. Also think that it's a part of just wanting to be in an environment that's peaceful. And usually gardens are very peaceful because it's blocked off by trees and plant life, and people are they come there and they respect, it's a sense of respect that people have when they enter a garden, and being, around that is beautiful, as well as the people that come into gardens. They all have a similar mindset of sustainability, of caring for nature, of caring for, people care, the different permaculture ethics. People care is one of those, and we look out for each other. So not only did it bring me into a world of really great characters. It's peaceful for the body, peaceful for the mind, and it has the potential to change the world if we look at taking care of the world through the lens of taking care of ourselves with it.
And that is why we are here today. So if you all did not know, today's topic is all around health. right? So Talking Trash is a podcast that is going to interview amazing people like Alexy Irving, but also dive deep into how litter affects us, right? So how litter affects us in relations to trash, how litter affects us in relations to our health, environmental safety, as well as economically as well. And so we talking about health today. And so that was a perfect segue into it. And so my next question for you is, how do you feel about litter, and how does litter tie into what you do in gardening and farming?
How do I feel about litter? It's a little downward spiral, I think. I remember I was in Ghana recently, and Ghana has, it's right next to the ocean. And when you go to the ocean in Africa, you want to swim. Well, they weren't swimming in that ocean. You know why? Because it had trash in it. It blew my mind. I'm like, so y'all putting trash in it, but y'all not swimming in the whole ocean because it has trash in it? So it hurts. It hurt my spirit. I was swimming in it. I heard, so many, like, there's algae and there's different, toxins and things that are going to harm your body and all of that. But, I think it was partially true, but also a scare tactic to get you to stay away from the water. And, black bodies in water, there's already, like, a trauma associated with it. But also, like, it's an ocean in Ghana. What? So one of my favorite activities to do with the youth, to just really like tie in the importance of litter and how it affects us and how it affects this earth is there's this environmental exercise that I do with the youth. Where we talk about the different types of pollution, from air pollution, noise pollution, light pollution. We go through all of those, and they give definitions, examples of that, so they get like an understanding of that. And then we go on a nature walk. So we go on this nature walk. While we're on this nature walk, we have bags, we're picking up trash, and we go to a park. This park is surrounded by trees, so once they get there, they notice that it sounds different. Like there's no traffic, there's like less noise, there's no noise pollution. So we talk about the noise pollution, and then we go through these bags, and I'll be like, all right, so pick out a piece of trash. And they pick one piece of trash out, and I have like a whole list of like how long it takes these different pieces of trash to decompose into the earth and to disappear from the earth. And some of these are like hundreds of years, and the fact that they can go and like actually tangibly touch this trash, pick it up, see where it's at in their environment, in their neighborhood, and see how long it takes to take it away. It, on top of like the difference of noise pollution from walking the streets to getting into a park, it really affects them. Yeah. It touches them.
It makes it real.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the time we talk about global warming and all these other things, and it's over there, right? It's not in my life. It's not personally affecting me. But when you can literally pinpoint different types of pollution, that's pinpointing them, and they can notice it. They can see it. It's in their community. It's in their hand. That's different. They're going to care a little bit more.
Yeah, they see it ain't going nowhere.
For hundreds of years,
exactly.
in many cases.
Exactly.
Thank you for doing that, because it's necessary.
Yeah, I love it.
How long have you been doing that with your young people?
This is an exercise that they had me create maybe like 2 years ago. Okay. Like after, I used to be a garden educator with this organization that I'm not going to name, but they work with elementary schoolers and high schoolers. And like in the beginning of the year, we don't start until February with the planning part, because it's cold outside in Chicago. So we actually start working with the youth in like March, April-ish. So in February, we're just planning. So they asked me to develop a lesson. And my lesson was like, oh, I've got a great idea. Let's do this environmental lesson. So maybe like 2 years. 2 years.
Thank you, because I just know you've impacted so many young people. And I'm pretty sure after that, their minds change. And that's what it's all about, planting those seeds within our next generation and in ourselves. Come on, because us adults we ain't off the scales now.
I do it with adults, too.
so that we can honestly realize what is there and then how it's affecting us. So we don't all the time think of pollution or litter as noise as well, or water pollution and how that affects us, because it goes into the water, and then the water systems is not the greatest, okay? And then we drink that water, right? So now that water and all of that pollution and all of that toxin that was in the water from the trash that we threw on the ground in the first place, or in the ocean or the water or the lake in the first place, is now all of that's inside of us, right? And so of course that's going to affect our health, our skin, and internally and mentally. So thank you again for that.
My pleasure.
Has trash impacted you in your personal life in any way?
From the fact that people weren't swimming in Ghana.
That's a problem. Like, you got a whole ocean and you can't even utilize it.
Unless you take that risk.
Of the toxins invading your body.
Unless you like YOLO. We outside.
Like you.
Has it impacted me? I mean, I purchased some property on 75th, so
Congratulations.
Thank you. The trash is endless on that street, and it comes into my yard, so I wake up, look out my window, do a little stretch, and I see it in my yard. I'm transforming it into a native prairie, so little bags be catching on to the baby trees that I have and snapping them in half, which they'll be all right, but in that moment it hurts me a little bit, and then it blows into the backyard, and it's in the alleys, it's trash overflowing, so you gotta run it over.
And how does that make you feel when you see that amount of trash in your community?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it just makes me feel like it's my duty to pick up, the stuff that I can pick up. But then also, we ride down the street and we see somebody throw it out the window. It's just like, such a disconnect. Such a disconnect from Earth, from the fact that somebody has to clean that up. Natalie sent me a few articles. And taxes are paying like millions of dollars to clean up trash that we're putting like on the ground. I say we're because I'm not excluding myself from anything. Like, I'm involved in this process of Earth care or Earth non-care as well, just by having a carbon footprint in America. And I also throw, apples and banana peels out the window, which is
compost.
It's not though, because it's not the side of the street. Ain't no designated compost bin.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So I'm a part
but
of it.
But that's what people think about.
Yeah, I know. So I'm telling y'all,
it don't count as compost. Okay? Do it the correct way.
Because once them people cleaning it up, they gonna pick up that apple peel, that banana peel, put it in the trash can, and that trash going to a landfill, getting burned. And
and then that's toxins in the air. And that's something another way. So we talked about how trash and things getting in the water, and then you end up drinking that water, bathing in that water, and everything else. But then also it's because then it goes up, and now it's coming down. It's toxic rain. But then when they burn that pollution as well, now that pollution's in the air. It's affecting our air quality, and we're bringing that in to our body and to our lungs. And air is in my opinion, one of the most important things out here, because if we don't have it, we'll die. So I think it's pretty darn important, and we're wondering why a lot of people, more so now than ever, have all of these health conditions related to their breathing.
Asthma, bronchitis,
and exactly. And that's litter affecting our health. It affects our lungs. It affects every part of us. And we have to be aware of that over time.
Like, if we were actually to sit down and get the numbers of how these respiratory issues have risen over the years compared to the amount of litter, I think we might see something.
If we do the research. Okay, talking trash. Y'all heard it here first. We're going to have to get us some researchers on the team so that we can really do this deep dive. Because no one's really talking about it. I think, we have some agricultural people that are really diving deep, that takes it really serious. So shout out to everybody who really takes it serious. But as far as researchers, really, and scientists, really looking into it, and especially how it impacts our health. When we think about the inner city, when we think about trash, come on, y'all have driven down the expressway, you have gotten on the train or the bus and rode from one side of town to the other side of town. I know you have. I know I have. Okay? And there's a clear difference when you see litter. When you drive on the expressway over on our side, you all on the side of the road, you see trash. You keep going a little further out of town, and you don't see any trash. You go from the end of the red line on 95th down past downtown onto the north side, and there's no litter, no trash. Why is that? It's not that they're not throwing it down. That's one thing. That's one thing. We're going to talk about that on a later episode. Because people are throwing it everywhere, but they're picking it up more in certain places. But because that trash does accumulate in our area, we have to look at how that affects our health. And we talked about lungs with the pollution and when they burn it and all of that, but it's also seeping down into the soil. So all of the chemicals and plastics and everything else, Lord, thousands of years later when they do break down, they're in our soil. They're in the ground. And then that affects the plant life. That affects the fruits and vegetables we're eating, because in certain places, also runoff from different power plants and different things like that are in our communities, that's going into the soil. So there's certain spaces. I was talking to a gentleman just the other day. He wanted to start a garden, and he couldn't. Because
can't grow in our soil.
The soil. You can't grow in there. And so he would have to do a whole lot of work, basically, to take all that soil out, put fresh soil down, build boxes or whatever else he decides to do to be able to actually start his garden. And so in our community, that's another aspect we have to think about when we may want to be healthy and we want to start a garden and grow our own food and fruits and vegetables, but we can't because the soil is contaminated, and that directly impacts our health. Have you ever experienced that in your space, working in the garden space?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of lead in the soil. That's known for like city spaces because lead was used in the paint, and a lot of open lots are a result of the building being knocked down. So all of that lead is in our soil. So no, we don't grow in our soil. If you like look around at all the gardens, like in Inglewood, South Shore, they have a layer of wood chips, and then they put the compost on top and build these beds or build these layers. So nobody's growing in our soil.
We can't.
Yeah.
Because of
unless
what?
you want to do some remediation, but that takes years and years and years.
Yeah.
And I mean, we have it. We got time to heal our health or heal the soil, but
we also have to look at putting a priority on these things. Like, because of the way life is set up, most people don't have the luxury to be like, you know what, I'm gonna think about a umpteenth year remediation plan for my front yard to grow my. We should.
Yeah, one of the permaculture principles is to think about 3 generations after you. So what will those generations have that we're building on now? So I mean, that's why I'm transforming my front yard into a native prairie. It's gonna have native trees, fruit trees. It's gonna be a food forest. Not thinking about like, okay, 20 years from now I'm not gonna be in this space, but I got a building, so let me get this space together for my children's children. But there was one piece that I wanted to that we rushed past.
Yeah, for sure.
But thinking about the difference between our neighborhoods and the neighborhoods further north, we are cleaning up their trash. Like the people that are being paid to do this trash, it's our people. It's people that look like us. So that's even more of a slap in the face. Like, not only are we dirtying up our neighborhoods and not cleaning it up, but we're going out there to clean it up.
Talk about it. It's real.
Yeah.
It's real. And then we also got to think about the fact when it comes to trash in our area, we're so used to seeing it, which is so unfortunate. We're so used to seeing trash in our area that it doesn't even bother us. And then we pass that information down generation to generation that it's okay. Because now the children see their parents throwing something on the ground, and then they throw something on the ground. And then they see their parents do it. And then now it's this cycle of littering is okay when it is absolutely not. But then the alternative, or the side effect of that, rather, is that now we have these streets where There's broken glass. Our children can't even play. And we're talking about health, right? When the streets are clean, the children can go run and play and not have to worry about falling and needles and glass. I had a personal experience with litter literally affecting my health. I was, we were around 95th and Hossett. My aunt used to live over there. And I was walking, and we were getting ready to go to the beach that day, and me and my cousin, we were so excited. And we were walking up to the library right there. It was at the Woodson. And we were coming up the street, and I had on flip-flops. It's summertime. And a piece of glass cut my foot open. Right? I know. Heartbroken. Mostly because I wanted to go to the beach and swim and get in the pool later that day, and I couldn't. But also because it hurt, okay? But just that piece of glass cutting my foot open, thankfully it didn't lead to, more health complications, or because it could have been anything on that glass, anything. And that could have been horrific, but thankfully it was not. But the fact that you just walk into the corner, is that easy for your life to be changed. Walking to the corner in your neighborhood, your whole life could have changed. And it had nothing to do with you. And that's terrifying when I think about the children mostly. And I mean, it could happen to adults or anybody else, but I have a heart for the young people. And if they're just running and playing outside and they fall on a rusty can or glass or this and that, we have to think about our health and our children in that way as well. But then the accumulation of trash and litter brings a whole lot of other stuff.
Stress, anxiety, mental issues,
and that's mental health. And again, the fact that we are getting used to and it's normalized to have so much trash in our community, mentally there's something wrong with that. We have to look at why that is. But also, I know the physical things that come with that, like rodents. And let's keep it a buck. If you have a space, look at New York. We always laugh at New York. They ain't got no trash cans, no alleyways, you know what I'm saying? So it's just bags of trash everywhere, right? On top of people actually littering and throwing stuff everywhere. And we laugh at they rats because the rats is so comfortable. They walking down the street with pieces in their mouth. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or, it's a real thing. I see your face. It's a real thing. It's video footage of this. Video footage of rats walking down the steps with a whole big slice of pizza in their mouth. And we, laugh at that, but that's not okay.
Right.
That should not be a norm. We have to evaluate what that does, because when you have rats and mice and rodents, what are they bringing with them?
Fleas, ticks,
disease, germs, sickness, all in your house. And then even if it's just outside, because people house, that's what we were talking before we started the podcast about. If litter in the street, if you litter in the street, I hate to see your house, right? If you litter in the street, I hate to see your house, but I also hate to see your hygiene, because it's that serious. But also, even if your house is spick and span spotless, but your community is trash, and now you got rats, mice, roaches in your community, and you walking up and down those streets in and out your house every day, you bringing that in your house. It ain't gonna magically jump off you at the door. You know what I'm saying? So we have to think about how that affects our health. And because our shoes, let's be honest, we walk in on these things. Most people don't leave shoes at the door. So you walk into your house with your shoes on, and you had to walk past umpteenth blocks or whatever, and all of this trash again, rats, mice, rodents, everything else. And now you walking in your house on the floor, and you got a baby crawling across the floor. And they putting hands in their mouth. You know what I'm saying? And that's sickness going into that child. That's sickness. So we don't even think about how it affects our actual health, but it does on so many levels. Like you said, mentally. And that's another podcast that we'll be having, where we'll be talking about the mental effects of that as well. Physically, our lungs and what the chemicals in the air is doing to us, what the chemicals in the water is doing to us, because we're consuming that. It's going in our skin when we take baths and showers. It's so many different ways that one bottle. And actually, our first PSA we did with Talking Trash was called It's Bigger Than You Think. And the PSA was a bottle, right? It started with a bottle. A little boy in the car He throws a bottle out the window. The bottle rolls into a larger pile of trash. And then it was 2 young people walking past. And they had stuff in their hands. And they see the person throw the bottle out the window. So the other little boy was like, oh, okay, that's what we doing. So he throws the bottle on the ground.
That's what we do.
And then they look, they go, okay, and they keep it moving. And so it's bigger than you think, because you may think, oh, it's just this one bottle, or it's just this one can, or it's this one thing. But it accumulates, one. But then also, what kind of message are we sending to not only the next generation, but ourselves and our community and other people coming in our community? Because when they walk in our community, what you think they thinking when we walk in?
Let's throw our trash out here.
Listen, if they're people not from Chicago, I don't know, again, expressway, talking about the expressway. If you ever been in a car with somebody that's not from Chicago, they may be from out of town or elsewhere, and then you roll past a certain area and you like, dang.
Yeah, that's throughout the entire U.S.
Everywhere.
One thing I did wanted to like pull an example from is when I was in Japan. Japan, you talked about New York not having trash cans and there's being trash all over. Japan doesn't have trash cans either, but there is no trash out. There's no trash on the street.
Let's talk about it.
And they don't have, so it's history, they don't have trash cans because somebody put a bomb in a trash can and hurt a bunch of people. So their rules and regulations and I guess like the social society structure is just like, don't litter. Don't put your trash outside. There's no trash cans, so you shouldn't have no trash. Wait till you get home, or wait till you get into some cafe or whatever, and throw your trash away there. And that's how they operate. So it's not even about like lack of trash cans, more trash cans, because that's not what they do in there. It's more so a mindset.
And that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a mind thing we have to evaluate, because we can clean up, let's be honest, and this is one of our mottos at Talking Trash, and why education and doing these podcasts is so important, because we can clean up all day and night. 24 hours a day, 365. We can go out in these streets, you know what I'm saying, and clean up. But if we don't change the minds of people, then they just gonna keep throwing it, and then we'll be cleaning up after somebody forever. It's like, no, when are we gonna realize that this trash is affecting us all? Not throw it in the first place. And then if you see it, do something about it. I love that you said, when I asked how it made you feel to see all of that trash coming into your yard and all around you in your space, you said it made me want to clean it up.
Yeah.
And that's what we need from people.
Can't sit there and be mad at, why are you throwing the trash on the street? Why are you doing that? Because it's like, we can have an argument.
But what is that going to change?
Right.
What is it going to do?
We know what that leads to. It leads to more violence, and like, that's not necessary. Just do your part, lead by example. Somebody gonna see you. Just like, you know, when we was cleaning up the roundabouts, people came up and was like, I appreciate what you're doing. Some of them came out and helped us out. Yeah. So you lead by example enough, you're gonna get the whole world together. All of America and
the
Africa.
World? No, I like what you said.
The world.
You said all of America and Africa. Specifically everything.
Yeah. Because that's important. Like, I went to Nigeria, and like the smaller villages, all their trash moved out to like the side of the street. So it's just like piles of trash where this beautiful sand is. And it's like, wow, it alters your living, the way that you live, because you have all this trash here, the market, and then back there they got solar paneled houses with no trash in the street. Yeah. So it's a disconnect. That's what I want to call it.
And we also deserve to live in beautiful spaces. Can
be nice.
We talk about that for a second.
Nice.
It would be very nice. And every time I come up on like these larger issues, I stop and I smile and I just go, it could all be so simple. Because it could be so simple. Let's not throw the trash on the ground.
Yeah.
If we see it, let's pick it up. You know, in spaces where we can, without, you know, causing conflict or an argument, say, hey, why are you throwing that on the ground?
It's actually,
you know, let's check our family members. Let's check the kids around us. And you don't have to do that. The garbage can right there. Right.
Yeah.
Let's pick that up and take it over here.
That's gonna get them. Tell them pick it up.
Pick it up. Because somebody has to pick that up. And right now it's going to be you because you dropped it. Pick it up. And have those conversations because we can very much so be, we are, I'm not even going to say can be, we are very much so the solution. Because we are also the problem.
Yeah, true.
Just that simple. We the problem, so we have to be the solution. Like you said, it's not necessarily about the trash cans, how many are on the street. Now, more trash cans would be nice, absolutely. Don't get me wrong. We working on that too. But if the people are going to litter, it's mental, and we have to check it mentally. And so hopefully conversations like these can help where people actually understand how it's impacting them physically.
Yeah.
If we look at cleaner environments and the health issues that they have, immediately it's a decrease. When you look at environments where there's no trash on the ground, it's beautiful, there's more greenery, they're eating right, immediately the health issues decrease. And then you look at an inner city where there's not only the sound pollution but actual pollution and trash in the water and trash on the ground, and we have all of this laundry list of ailments, and then we still throw trash on the ground like it doesn't impact us. So I'm so grateful to have you on the show today to just talk a little bit about how trash impacts you, but also how it impacts the greater whole. So if you could give some remarks or some words to anyone who's listening, our beautiful listeners, but also anyone who's listening to the podcast, about how they can create a difference, what would you say?
Other than lead by example, probably get the youth involved. Do that environmental exercise that I've done. Everybody can do that. All you need is bags and conversations and, the knowledge of the different pollutions. And they know. We all know you just got to make it stick. And you make things stick by repeating it over and over again. So, yeah.
So educate. Get the youth involved and then educate. I'm going to say start with educating yourself. Because there's so much we don't know.
For sure.
There is so much we don't know. And then for sure educate those babies. Because I'm a real quick sidebar, y'all. Lexi sent me a video. Lexi sent me a video about a dog. And the owner was going around picking up the trash with the dog. And so the dog picked up a bottle and brought it back to the owner. And so the owner gave the dog a treat. And so after that, the dog just kept bringing trash. Like, okay, if I pick up this trash and you giving treats, then we good. And I said, we need a talking trash dog, y'all. We need a talking trash dog.
A swarm of them.
But and he didn't probably try to, but what he did was he trained that dog to pick up trash.
That could be the solution.
We can train our kids to pick up trash, but everybody else and ourselves as well, so that we can have a healthier space. Because we deserve it. I want to breathe clean air. I want to eat clean food. I want to drink clean water. Okay. Thank you, Lexi. We're going to start wrapping out, you all, but I do want to open the floor because I said that I would. Is there anyone that has any comments or remarks in the audience? Yes.
I have a question.
A question, okay.
Okay. Well, first let me make a statement. Thank you all so much for coming together on today and talking trash. My statement is, having visited Rhonda and seeing a trashless society really changed me, and how beautiful it was to see someone out cleaning at all times, day or night, trash.
Community members?
Yes.
I say.
And these are hired people that do this 24 hours. Like, they even fine you if you bring plastic bags in the country. So
a plastic-free society.
Right.
Could you imagine?
And so is there a future plan for Talking Trash to present this initiative as a health and wellness healing practice? That's my question.
Wonderful. So I'm just going to restate what you were saying. You said you went to Rhonda. Most people call that Rwanda. I think is how we pronounce that. It's probably wrong, but that's how most people pronounce it in Africa. And you said it was a beautiful, clean space, and you saw people 24 hours a day cleaning and picking up the trash. And they actually fine people if they bring plastic bags into the area. Absolutely beautiful. And then the question was, do we have a plan, Talking Trash, to create a wellness initiative for picking up trash?
A health and wellness, like it's already an initiative. Talking Trash is. It's already been initiated. I'm asking if do you all have plans to make it like a health and wellness healing practice? Meaning, this is something that you can present to the city as one of the things or modalities that we would like to move our neighborhoods forward in, one neighborhood at a time. That this is a practice, like she said, recruit the youth instead of putting them in what do they call that? I'm school. I don't have any school age children. Where they put them in detention. Hey, you got to go out with a trash bag and clean up.
Set up detention, have them pick up trash.
That's really
for the next hour or whatever have you, instead of sitting in here playing around. Something like that to that capacity. And then it becomes a practice, like you said.
Yes.
And we all get to experience what that is to live in a trashless society. Because
I think that's amazing. And I would ask if you are willing. Come on, join us over here Talking Trash so we can get you in there. I'm so serious because it's for everybody. It's for everybody. And that is so amazing. And one thing that's really cool is for our Earth Day event, which Lexi spoke on the panel for that day. For our Earth Day event, we had a bunch of kids from Paul Revere School there, who was one of our sponsors for that event. And that's what happened. Those were all kids that had gotten in trouble leading up to the event. And the principal was like, okay, y'all show up and y'all clean up and y'all do this gardening and everything else we were doing that day. And they did. And their parents made sure they were there. And they were out there cleaning up, cleaning the street, planting plants and, pulling weeds. And so that absolutely is a way that we get them kids, we get them young people, and we educate them, and we put them to work at the same time. Because a lot of those young people some of them was like, I don't want to be here. But some of them were really excited to be there, and they were using the tools, and they were raking, and they were like, what else you need us to do? Because sometimes kids just need something to do. And if that's a skill, gardening and agriculture, that's a skill that we can teach them. And if people get a little change, too, that might encourage them a little more to pick up some trash. But absolutely, and I think you should come on over here with us at Talking Trash and lead that initiative, because it is a health and wellness initiative, again, mentally and physically. Trash is impacting us all, and what can we do? And that was actually a really great thing on what we can do to help it.
I got two points. I love that everything that we need to heal ourselves, heal our world, is already happening someplace else. So pulling that example from Rwanda is like is possible because we see people doing it. Another point was that there's actually like government funding for people to organize things like Talking Trash, to pick up the trash in their neighborhoods. We just gotta get it, because I was looking it up, like how much money do we spend, how many billions, millions do we spend on picking up trash and these initiatives to clean up trash? And they was like, there's so much government funding for people to actually do that and to sponsor these cleanup days. So yeah.
Shay, and we gonna get this money. Thank you, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that
and
example.
Then if we could take one more comment, and then we're gonna wrap it on now. Anybody else?
I just want to say this was really excellent, very educational and informative, and I love the point that you made that we need to that we can learn by example.
We
lead by
can.
example. I thought that was really, really a key point. And I just want to know, how can we and the viewers learn more about this organization?
It's an amazing question. Thank you for that. And thank you for your kind words. So one, leading by example is super important. And then also learning what other people are doing and following their example is super important, because ain't no point of reinventing the wheel if someone's already doing it. Either partner and help them do it, or figure out how you can roll that over and do it as well. And as far as learning more about Talking Trash, following Talking Trash, it's Talking Trash Chicago pretty much everywhere, on Instagram, on Facebook, and then on our YouTube channel where our podcast would be. So if you love this podcast, please feel free to share it. This podcast will be dropping on the 16th. And you can share it out via the social media pages as well as the YouTube. You can also email us, and we do speaking engagements. We do cleanup. So if you know somewhere that needs to be cleaned in your community, we can help you organize a cleanup. We can come and clean up. And then throughout the winter and the fall, like now, we'll be doing these podcasts just to educate people as much as possible, so that when we get to the spring and summer, hopefully we ain't got to clean up as much. Did that help answer your question? And just a quick summary of Talking Trash for anyone who is new to Talking Trash. We are a community cleanup initiative, and our goal is to beautify the community, educate the community, and clean up the community. So our pillars, which are right over here, is remediation, beautification, and education. So gardening and creating a more beautiful environment is one of our aspects. Educating, like we're doing now with the podcast, is one of the aspects. And then getting out in them streets and doing the work is the other part as well. And these podcasts and the rest of our underlying pillars are under education, is to educate people in relation to how trash and litter affects our health, like we did with Lexi today. Thank you, Lexi. But also mentally, how it impacts us mentally with our mental health, how it impacts our money, our pockets, right? Economically, how does trash affect you? Safety-wise, what does trash signal to people who up to no good, right? And how does that affect you? And then also, how does it affect the environment? How are we being a detriment to this beautiful planet that gives us everything we need? And so those are underneath our education markers. So I hope that helps you learn a little bit more about Talking Trash and how you all can get to know us and stay up to date on cleanups and everything else. Lexi, thank you so much. Audience, thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause. This was absolutely beautiful. And again, this is just our first episode of Talking Trash podcast, the Peace Talks. Again, this episode will be dropping on the 16th. And look forward to more. We'll be doing it all the way until March. All right. Thank you all so much. And we are signing off. Until next time, be the change that you want to see. Pick it up. Because it's our community, our responsibility. That's our slogan. Our community, our responsibility. Our community, our responsibility. Our community, our responsibility. Our community, our responsibility. It's on you. It's on you. We gotta do the work. Come together. It's true.
We want to get the word out. We want to change our community. We have to change our community. We can't, as we have said back in the 70s, we're not waiting for anyone else to come and save us. We're going to save ourselves because we have the wherewithal to do it. And not only just us, we can save other people. So here we go. And we ain't talking no trash.
Take your power back. We can't wait on nobody else to save us. We can and will save us. We got everything we need. Our community, our responsibility.
We got to come together, we got to become better. We got to find the difference like the change in the weather. We can't be flowing, dancing in the wind like we some feathers. I'm trying to build a couple homes so we can have some shelter, or maybe feed a couple people so they stomach better. I'm trying to build a nation that go through generations. You gotta have the patience, I wouldn't call it waiting. But honestly, all my prodigies gon' be contemplating on ways to break through the curses that had our mamas aching and all our daddies bleeding. I'm trying to find a reason, but I ain't here for weeping, cause our community needs some unity and some peace. I'm trying to go ahead and slay through all our enemies. They trying to go ahead and shake up all our energy. I protect my enemies so my people enter me, learning from our pain and connecting all our synergies.